Hey everyone, Colton here. Let's take a minute to talk about Cuphead. It dropped 2 weeks ago, and like everyone else on the internet, I've been playing it relentlessly. Right now, my Steam library shows I have 23 hours played on record. That's 1,380 minutes I could have spent doing literally anything else, like bettering myself through the joy of reading, or practicing the storied art of calligraphy. Instead, I invested that time into Cuphead, and for good reason. For one, it's a fun game. It's sincerely one of the most fun games I played this year, despite the fact that it has fewer stages than the first Mega Man X game. For those of you who don't know, Cuphead only features 6 traditional platforming stages in the entire game. 90% of your time is spent fighting bosses that go through multiple phases, changes, and mini-boss fights before they finally give in. So how can a game focused on fights that last at maximum 3 minutes be so engrossing? How can a series of boss fights eat an entire 23 plus hours of somebody's life? For starters, Cuphead is difficult. And I don't just mean video game difficult. I mean, this game is trying to tell your girlfriend of 3 years you can't be with her because you identify as a sentient roller coaster with lightning powers and her life is in danger difficult. The game never feels unfair though. Bosses have patterns to their actions, and while they do take steps to change up those patterns, you still learn them through multiple attempts. You're also given multiple different weapon types throughout the game, so you can choose the best equipment for a given encounter. Losing to a boss because you keep getting hit before you can deal damage? Use the homing shot. This will let you focus your eyes on your character and on dodging attacks because the gun aims for you. You'll lose a little bit of your damage potential, but you can bring an alternate weapon for when the boss finally lets up to get some powerful shots in. Want to get through a fight quickly? Use the charge shot. It takes a second to charge, but you can clear phases in no time with it and its EX variant. Cuphead always gives you a way around obstacles in front of you because that's what these types of games almost always do. In fact, the multiple weapon types and specials may sound familiar to some of you. That's because, and yes, I know it's super obvious, but Cuphead draws a significant amount of inspiration from the Contra series, specifically Super C and Contra 3. I only say Super C and Contra 3 because I've never actually played Contra 1, but that's neither here nor there. Those of you who are familiar with Contra know that those games, 3 especially, are notorious for being difficult. Extremely difficult. Like controller-smashingly hard. Mostly, this is by design. They're meant to push your reaction time and decision-making skills to the limit. I say mostly because part of the inherent difficulty of Contra games comes from technical limitations. Hitboxes, or the area that tells the game when your character's been hit, were bigger and clunkier in the 8 and 16-bit eras. It was a lot easier to get hit, and in Contra, 1 hit equals death. Another major issue, and this may be down to personal taste, is that the levels in Contra were long. Really long. Having to retread overly long stages from the beginning every time you die can take a toll on you. This is especially true when the game is going out of its way to punish you every other second. This means the biggest payoff in Contra you can experience is reaching the end of a stage, learning the quirks of a boss fight, and finally bringing it down. It's insanely satisfying. Cuphead has taken the idea and distilled it. MDHR have boiled away the long and frustrating stages, leaving only the challenging but satisfying boss fights. Stages are still present in Cuphead, but they amount to little more than an amuse-bouche, a palate cleanser to earn upgrades between fights. They're a lot shorter in comparison, so you aren't spending as much time on them. Cuphead's other major advantage is precision. Hit detection in Cuphead is amazingly precise. I've come within a hair's breadth of wanging my soft, fleshy porcelain bits against any number of enemies and projectiles in my time with the game, only to land safely on the other side of it thanks to a dash or jump. The game is made even more forgiving in that you can take 3 hits before dying if you don't have any HP upgrades equipped. Beyond that, almost anything in the game that's neon pink can be parried by your double jump, so you can use enemy attacks and stage hazards to navigate and dodge more quickly. Don't get me wrong, the game is still hard. You're gonna die. Like, a lot. At present, I've died over 300 times in the game, and I'm about to begin the final boss fight. And if you're curious about how I know that, there's actually an NPC in the game whose sole purpose is to tell you how many times you've died. Studio MDHR have analyzed the Contra formula and found where the game crosses the line from remarkably challenging into utter bullshit and trimmed away the excess. Then they stepped back from that line about a step and a half to create something still incredibly hard, but rewarding and forgiving at the same time. So really, when you look at it, Cuphead is the best Contra game ever made. Hell, I'd say it's one of the absolute best games of 2017 so far, and if you haven't played it yet, you really owe it to yourself to buy it on Steam or Xbox One. It takes almost nothing to run on PC, so even if you've got the most basic desktop or laptop setup, you're still going to be able to play it. Well, that's all for now. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Jason and I are planning on doing a Let's Play of Cuphead soon, so keep an eye out for that. If you like what we're doing, subscribe and consider buying a shirt over at our Redbubble store. You can also buy one of our premium bamboo shirts and help environmentally focused charities over at pandabrand.co. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.